Hey everybody, we're back with another edition of pre-recorded PBE content because the workdays are long and this is what you get. So for today's game, I'm going to be showing off one of the comps I've been favoring a lot when I play on PBE. It has a style I'm more comfortable with, that it is a strong early game but does trail off in the late game, forcing you to transition well with it. And that is the Abomination. Now, don't get me wrong, the Abomination's probably a little overpowered right now also, so that doesn't hurt. But that's what we're going to be showing off today. Also showing off one of the new maps. I believe this is the Count map. I forget the exact name. If you're into heavy metal, this is a really cool map. Quite a few clickables. You can click on the mirror, you can click on the minions, you can click on the motorcycle, the spatula, the throne. So hopefully you enjoy this map. This is the map that is much closer to the aesthetic of Reckoning. So this particular game, I wasn't planning on going Abomination, which is why I took the tier instead of one of my more conventional item choices. But you'll see how we transition into A-Bomb and where we go from there. So for now, starting off with Dawnbringer. Dawnbringer looking to be a very powerful start. And here you go. We get the Lee Sin and the Nunu out of the box. And as I mentioned last video, especially without Chosen, if you can get a 3-star out of a box, you really want to focus your comp around it. Now here we also get the Brand, and that's what pushes me into, okay, this is an Abomination game. I've already got the Nunu, I hit the Brand, all I need is the Callista, and we are going to be good to go. So, pretty cool situation. But one of the things about A-Bomb that's really exciting is the itemization puzzle. Because the A-Bomb itself has, high physical attack speed, physical damage, but the characters themselves, other than Callista, don't really use that. So it puts you in this interesting position where you have to figure out exactly what items you want to give the A-Bomb to try to maximize your chances to win. Now here, we don't really have any great choices, but for now we can at least put the belt on Nunu, powering up Nunu. Because again, the higher health Nunu is, the more chances he'll have of eating. And we can wait until 2-2. But we have enough gold, throw in a free Lee Sin that we got earlier. Lee Sin's always just a powerful 3 cost this early. So we should be in a pretty decent spot here. 2-3 costs. Now, unfortunately, we do get matched up against this very tanky Leona in the early game. With the Redemption as well, making it just really hard to chew through. Leona's spell is ridiculously good early, preventing so much damage. Thankfully, Brand can ignore the Leona and hit the backline here. So you'll notice Brand is doing all the work here. But, kind of a sad situation. It shows how good Leona is early game. I think we end up losing this fight because Leona just keeps healing. And an A-Bomb, all 1-star with a belt, not quite strong enough to plow through the Leona shields. And, just barely right there. Can't get through the shield. Costing us the early win. Feels bad. But here we get Tier or Shadow Tier. Now Brand has a 0 out of 20 mana, so Shadow Tier not really great on him for the Shadow blue buff. Blue buff in general is not good on the Abomination, but I decided to give up that early game power on the Abomination itemization for the early game power of perfect Brand itemization. And thankfully we'll show how that can still work, because blue buff on the Abomination, not a good item. Not a good item at all. But now we're at an even stronger start. A blue buff Brand is a lot of damage as long as we can protect it. We have the 2 brawler frontline, which I think the 2 best brawlers. Gragas, very tanky. Nunu with that Sunfire for early game power. And then a spare Lee Sin, because why not? It's Lee Sin. 50% attack speed slow on his spell, not bad here. So you'll see here, Brand gets Kraken, already has the flame spread on 3 people, now it's 4. So you got kind of like the Brand flame and the Sunfire flame melting people, feels good. And we win without even needing the Abomination, so. Also to call out here, we have one of the new surfing little legends, the surfing chunks. These are adorable. I like the way they roll around when they move, it's fun. They also have a really cool taunt, which I don't show in this video, but you should check it out, where they like surf around. It's pretty sweet. And there we go. We got the Callista. So that's a nice big power spike and gets our econ safely to 10. So now we are in a good spot. 3 Abomination this early feels good. One of the more common versions of Abomination plays 4 Brawler pretty early, so we grab the Warwick. And then if we don't like the Warwick, we can also go the 2 Spellweaver version to power up our brand here. So this is a nice spot to be in. We don't have to rush level to hit higher cost units. We kind of have what we want for right now. This is a nice, solid Abomination start. Now the thing to note here is my Abomination items are awful, but now would be the time to start working on better items. So, and again, you'll see here, even against Hellions, Brand with blue buff just spreading that really well here, so that even if we don't survive this, which it looks like we're going to pretty easily. The graphic bug. Thankfully that's already fixed, but PBE also very useful for finding bugs and helping us polish the set. So that's been a challenge for the team. The team's working really hard as I film this at 7 p.m., end of a long workday. Alright, so first carousel, we're not in the last pick, which is nice, and we're looking for, again, something to put on our Callista that can be good for the Abomination here. And this is probably the first item we really get to pick. So a bunch of good options here. And what you're going to see here is, if I'm smart, I'm going to take the Cloak. And the reason we take the Cloak is Hurricane is an insanely good item on the Abomination. Specifically Shadow Hurricane too, if you can get it. Shadow Hurricane, as of this filming, basically gives you an extra 120% damage because it is 2 bolts, each doing, 60% damage. So, and the Abomination has a very high base attack speed. So here, again, knowing that we're early game power, we're going to go ahead and level up, throw in the Spellweaver, make Brand that much more powerful. Now, the one thing to note, though, is by getting the Cloak as opposed to the Bow, we don't necessarily want to lock it in on Callista. If we get stuck with something like a Dragon's Claw, we don't want to end up with that on Callista. So for now, no reason to slam it. Alright, Nidalee, very, very strong. This was before the nerf that just went out, so Nidalee at this point is doing a ton of damage. But thankfully the combination of Sunfire here and the A-Bomb is going to be enough to make sure we still win this round. And so you can see damage-wise, Brand doing a lot of the damage. But yeah, in a good spot here. And oh, these VFX bugs make this map look so much worse. But thankfully, again, already fixed. The beach map is such a cool map. Alright, so the person in first is the one we lost to. Not a big deal. Ooh, we get a spatula because of our win streak. These maps also change their interactions based on if you win streak or lost streak, so pretty cool. You can see me clicking on the throne here to see what that does. There's the mirror. And there's the bike. Good times. Alright, so yeah, we're kind of in a holding pattern here, starting to rack up our economy. Hopefully we start 2-starring some stuff, because the Abomination does scale with the star level of your champions. So having everything at 1 star is not a great position to be in. Yep. But again, Brand outputting a ton of damage here. So that even if we weren't going well, by the time the A-Bomb comes in, everything's already burning from the Sunfire and the Brand. And we are looking strong. And again, this is where I play the best. I like the win streak builds. And Abomination certainly does that. Kind of like Cultist, the Abomination is flat stats. Flat stats always do well early and then fall off late game. So we grab the Gragas here. Because again, Gragas is kind of the best tanky brawler that you can get early. So if you can 2-star Gragas, it never hurts. 2-star Gragas with even 2 Dawnbringer provides a lot of effective health. So items-wise, we're looking for stuff for our A-Bomb here. A bow for that Hurricane. A sword, which you'll see why in a little bit. Cool. So let's see, what do we get here? We get an armor, not really what we're looking for here. Soraka, not particularly useful, and a rod. Now this is where I was starting to get a little worried this game, because it's like, these were not the items I was looking for. We do get Zyra, which is a better Spellweaver here for the CC. allowing us to buy time for those Brand and Sunfire ticks to burn. But again, one of the interesting things here is now it's not always good to slam here because it is just one more round. Can we wait one more round to get a better item? Let's find out. But overall, this is actually feeling like kind of a low roll. Other than the fact that we got the early Nunu. Everything else about this is pretty low roll. We haven't 2-starred anything, whereas this guy has a 2-star Pantheon. Although it looks like this person is still learning a little bit as they've put a Shadow Morello on their Pantheon. And if you know anything about Morello, Morello acquires spell damage. Pantheon does not do spell damage. Pantheon is a physical-based champion. So, a bit of an oopsie on their part. But you can see here Sunfire doing a ton of damage from my Nunu. So Sunfire kind of carrying our early game, making up for our lack of low roll here. Now we get the bow, which is going to give us the Hurricane. And we power up to stay strong. So here I decide that now that we have the Hurricane and the Locket, we can just build the two of them. Get a nice Locket, keep all my 1-stars safe, and now we have a Hurricane. So Hurricane, like I said, Shadow Hurricane is better, but you get what you get. And Hurricane is one of the items we really do want on our Abomination, because now our Abomination is going to be able to hit 2 targets at once, won't get necessarily stuck on a tank, and again, he has a high base AD. So, should feel pretty good. Slight optimization here, we're running 2 Gragas's. In case we lose, we can sell the Warwick. The Warwick's not key to our comp, so very slight optimization here. So again, this person has a 3-star Riven, or excuse me, 2-star Riven, 2-star Kennen, the Nidalee. So they're looking really, really strong here. Let's see how we do against them. And despite all those 2 stars, the power of the early A-bomb and the Locket keeping me safe allows for me to win this. So, and that's the other thing too. The A-bomb alone can stall out fights. So things like Sunfire get a lot of value as they get to continue to burn. And this just shows how good the A-bomb can be this early. But really, Sunfire is what's doing a lot of the work here. So, alright, now here we're going to start looking at some interesting decisions. Again, we're still kind of low rolling. We've got 3 pairs. The only thing we've 2-starred is Gragas, which doesn't help our A-bomb. Looks like first place has got 2 A-bomb in now also. But again, that tanky Leona, oh my god, that Leona is something to be feared. Now, they did put Shadow Warmogs, which is probably a big mistake without something to heal it up. Redemption is not going to outpace that. So I don't agree with their choice of itemization, but that's one of the tricks of this set, is that itemization is hard, and there aren't a lot of guides for people to copy-paste right now, so people are having to figure it out on their own here. Ooh, that Vel'Koz ult is really good. But again, here you can see, even just with the Hurricane and the Sunfire, this thing's doing a lot of damage. This fight's going to be really close. It's going to be really close. Got some healing there from the spell. And thankfully with the burn, we barely take that fight, continuing the win streak. Whew. That was a close one. Alright, so now items-wise, we are still looking for a better item for when we get the Ryze. So we're looking for something like an Infinity Edge. So if we can get that glove, that would feel pretty good. But again, we are last pick, so the odds of getting what we want are pretty slim. Let's see what we go for here. We're going to go with the Shadow Armor. I think Riot Mort here has a plan with that Shadow Armor. We'll have to see if he can pull it off, though. Alright, so we get another Nunu. That's pretty good. By the way, that was on a 4 cost also, so getting that 4 gold here just continues us along. This is one of those positions where I'm win streaking. If I had something to throw in that would power up my army, I'd probably level and do it. But short of Dawnbringer Soraka, which isn't going to be a ton of value for this comp, it's probably not worth leveling here. Just keep greeting with the gold we have. Plus PvE meta, again, typically pretty slow, pretty greedy, so you can get away with plays like this. Alright, match of first and second. Let's see how it goes here. Now again, I want you to watch this Leona's health, because most of this health drain is coming from the Shadow Warmogs. which again, on someone like a Vladimir can be quite good, but on someone like a Leona, not quite as good. Now, unfortunately, right there, I ran through the Vel'Koz laser and took a ton of damage. The Hurricane is trying its best, but it just isn't quite enough. So we end up losing our win streak there, but honestly, some different positioning might have helped that. No big deal, though. Still sitting in a pretty good spot. We're going to hit level 7 right at 3-7, which is pretty early, actually, so... Same thing, though. At this point, we're kind of just waiting to see if we can hit some pairs. We're really looking for that Ryze. That Ryze is going to be our next big power spike. Being forced to run a 1-star Warwick isn't exactly helping us here. So we are, like, pretty weak for this comp. So again, not really a high roll here. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to post this video. I know a lot of YouTubers are like, look at this high roll. But this is about teaching you the fundamentals of the Abomination comp. So... Oh, even that Zyra ult is just awful. So... Now what's interesting here is we're barely, just barely lost that fight. But at least now we're lose streaking into the PvE round. So always look on the bright side here. But again, even though we're starting to lose and starting to fall off a bit, we have a lot of economy right now. So... That person's level 7, but only 30 gold. Hey, we hit a 2-star here. Feels good. So now you see me making an interesting decision here, and this is something to get used to, is the level 7 roll down, if you're really looking for a 4 cost, you're still only at 12%. If you really need a 4 cost, and you can afford it, you should really push to 8. The increased odds are going to help you a ton. So for now, we decide to greed it out, and push towards 8. Especially because we're on a loss streak, we can be in a good spot here. Okay, so we got the glove. All we need now is a sword, and we have the biggest armory coming up here soon. And we hit our 4 brawler with set here, so that's a nice pickup. So if we keep the glove for Infinity Edge, that leaves us with a Shadow Locket. Now, Shadow Locket is a good item if you want to do something like this. So the Zyra positioning here, a little questionable. But with the Shadow Locket now and the Locket, we've just created an insanely durable front line. This is a lot of effective health, and most of these champions aren't gaining their mana through auto-attacking anyway. So again, this is going to be a really tanky front line, which is great because it will allow both the Sunfire and the Brand time to do their job. And you can see they're surviving quite a while here. So his Scion comes out first, has pretty good items, but you can see here that Hurricane doing a decent amount of work here. And we lose, but no big deal. We're pushing forward and we're loss streaking, getting us even more economy, and we have plenty of health to work with, and bam, we get the sword. Alright, so that's a big pickup for us. Now we just need the Ryze. Now, the greedy play here would be to lock it in, put it on someone like the Callista, try to get that 50-50 on the items, but that's not what we're going to do. We have essentially 2 out of 3 of what I think are perfect items, although technically Shadow Hurricane is better. But we have pretty good itemization here. We moved the Brand because we noticed the Brand's been getting hit by stuff like Zyra ults and Ashe ults. So we're going to move that away from the Callista, try to bait that out a little bit. And again, our plan right now is keep lose streaking, maybe even get a better carousel position until we hit level 8. So, and you can see everyone else is kind of at an economic disadvantage compared to us right now. So we're happy with where we are. Ooh, that scary Nidalee. That champion was not balanced. But Brand doing his thing, Sunfire doing his thing, gets those Hurricane bolts. And honestly, if Nidalee beats this would be perfect. Come on, Nidalee. Nice. Another perfect loss. Continuing that loss streak. We're on a 4-game loss streak in the late game, and we're still at 80 health. This is going insanely well. This Riot Mort guy knows what he's doing. Or is getting lucky. Depends on who you ask. Alright, so this person's playing 4 Spellweaver, 3 Abomination. They're definitely the biggest threat for us right now. So, got a 5 Hellion reroll comp. I have not been having much luck with the Hellion comps, but I've seen some people do well with it. So, if you really got to hit early, though. Let's see how we do into this Hellion comp, which, by the way, has 2 Guardian Angels. So not only do you have to deal with the Guardian Angel part of it, but you also have to deal with the GA part of it. So these things are going to take a long time to kill. Brand, where are you going? Alright, here comes the A-bomb, getting some big hits. Again, you see those Hurricane Bolts hitting real hard there. And if everything goes perfectly, 2 lost. Still, not bad. Continuing that loss streak. Only lost 7 health there. We're still in 2nd place, despite a 5-game loss streak. So this could not be going much better on that end, at least. We have our items, so honestly, at this point, we don't really care what we get here. We're kind of happy with anything. Something like a Teemo would just be a powerful unit. Let's see what we can get. Nunu would be Nunu 2, but it would be stuck with a sword on it. That's the one negative. Nope. Alright, so we're going to grab the Shadow Belt. Who knows what we can do with that. We'll have to wait and see what this Riot Mort guy thinks he's going to do with it. Alright, so at this point, it's time to level, time to roll down. We're really looking for a Ryze here. Let's see if we can get a Ryze. We get a Zyra upgrade. That'll power up our base locket at least. Any 5 costs would be good here also, because we kind of have a spare slot at this point. We could throw in Draconic, but that's like not really worth at this point. Finally hit the 2-star brand, and unfortunately we don't really hit much else, so we're stuck throwing in a Warwick, which is not a big upgrade here. So you can see us continue the roll down. And again, this is not a high roll game. We have not hit our Ryze. We barely hit our 2-star brand. Kind of suffering a bit here. Teemo and Heimerdinger on the other side, by the way, at level 7. And we haven't seen a 5 cost. But thankfully, we hit our Ryze there. And that's going to be a massive upgrade for us. And we still win the fight, despite all that. That front line with the Locket and the Sunfire doing a lot of work here. Alright, so now we're in a really good spot here. We get the Ryze. We put the Infinity Edge on the Ryze, which is not a good item for Ryze. But the thing to note here is the Abomination gets the 3 closest Abomination's items. So now we can guarantee that our Abomination will get Hurricane and Infinity Edge, which are both great. And then Sunfire, which is a little less great. A little less great. So Ryze also gives us the ability to go 2 Mystic, which is really good here. And the fact that we high-rolled the Kindred gives us a chance to put that in. So now we can see this Abomination, 4 Abomination with 2 very good items and a Sunfire. This thing's gonna slap. So let's see what happens here. Although this fight, we're kind of winning without it, to be honest. So kind of won that one without it. So, and interestingly enough, Zyra topped our damage there. Zyra with that Spellweaver bonus. So, alright, at this point we realize the Zyra is not something we're going to want to keep. Instead, getting in the Kindred, and allows us to kind of reposition here so that Gragas, again, really powerful tank, combined with Wolf now. We still get 5 good uses of Locket here, good front line. Now we have the 2 Mystic. And frankly, Kindred's just a very good champion, so. Now our goal is get to level 9 and start powering up our comp. Because the thing with this comp is if we stay here too long, we will fall off. Unstable Zarot Portal. This item is doing very well in the data, by the way. If you want to try a fun item that's looking real good, Unstable Zarot Portal. For now, so Unstable Zarot Portal also doesn't scale with star level like the normal one, so we can put it on a 1-star like this. Plus, if we finally hit the Volibear, we can just replace it there. So, we also hit the Kale. Kale actually not looking that great in the data, but we know Kale's condition. Kale is like, if you can stall out the fight, she's one of the best carries in the game. And we have a really good front line right now, so Let's see how our fights keep going here. Because this is about the time where Abomination will start to fall off. And ooh, that is a Rot Portal doing a big load of damage. But the Draven does heal back up. And got eaten by a Nunu. Oof. Look at that Warwick damage. That Warwick true damage. That item's insane. Alright, now one of the cool things to note here, by the way, is we got a second 2-star Nunu, which gives us two options. We could try to 3-star that Nunu, or we can finally get rid of that Sunfire and get a better item on the Abomination. So, depending on how that goes, a couple good options there. We're at 5-2, 40 gold. This is a point where you should be looking and going, time to hit level 9. Level 9 will give us an extra trait and additional 5 costs. And the 5 costs this set are very powerful. There are some Bill Gates comps doing very well. So, kind of want to get there. And along the way, if we 2-star our Ryze, our Kindred, find a Volibear, that's kind of what we're looking for here. So, whew, that Volibear ult. Daisy, break up the fight. All right, here we go. Whack, whack, whack. Look at that backline disappear. Nice, those big hits. And see, even that short time he was back there, almost topped the meters. So this A-bomb is going to slap. And ooh, a nice high. There, we finally start getting some high rolls. We hit the Volibear early. The Volibear can jump into the backline. And then Zerat Portal here, so that's a nice little upgrade. And again, we have a Volibear now with the Zerat Portal and both lockets, so pretty tanky. Alright. So now we're feeling really good about our comp. We've got the 4 Abomination. If you can get an Abomination Spat, by the way, continue to play it because that item is insane. So here we see a pretty popular comp that just got nerfed right after this, which was the Morgana when she had 60 mana. With the Shadow Morello, which is really good. So we'll have to see how we do into this. Thankfully, the Kindred ult keeping it alive against that Nidalee. Here we come. And ooh, the Zerat combined with the slapping of this Scion. It's going to be close. Thankfully, we crit and boom, get the win. Feels good. Alright, so here's a chance for us to get a better item for our Abomination. A couple good options here. Honestly, the Bramble would have been really good here. We could actually just keep it on Volibear, try to 2-star Volibear. Skirmisher is not going to really help us. We don't have 3 Skirmisher. Unfortunately, got taken there, and I kind of fluster a little bit here. Could have taken something else. I probably should have taken Bloodthirster, but I kind of panicked a little bit in this moment and take this item, the Archangel Staff. Not a good choice in my opinion here. On the one hand, it is going to get a lot of procs because we have such a good front line. On the other hand, it gives you 30% of your mana cost, so every time Bran casts, he gets 6 spell power. Woo! 6 spell power, not really something to write home about. So it's almost like I turned back on Spellweaver for a second, I guess. Not a great choice in my opinion. I kind of screwed that one up. So, but we'll see how it goes. At least in this fight, for example, Bran's getting quite a few casts and doing a lot of damage here. So, all right, his A-bomb is out. But by that time, barely mattered. The fight's basically over. Looking good. And so we have kind of a multi-threat team here. We look at that Ivern, that gives us Revenant for our Volibear, which, you know, upon reflection, not really that great since we kind of want him to die anyway for the Zerat Portal. Revenant is a GA, but when they come back, they also take more damage. And so Volibear taking a bunch more damage isn't really particularly useful. So this is one of those times where Revenant, not really what we need in this comp. That being said, Daisy is just amazing frontline regardless. This is where we could also start to look at taking out 4 Brawler, because we're still running a 1 cost and a 2 cost. Set in particular, not super amazing. Him armor shredding for my brand isn't doing a ton. So this is the guy with the 2-star Teemo. This is a fight I expect us to lose. He's got 2-star Teemo, and we're in the wrong corner. That Teemo... Oh, and we also walk in the wrong direction here, so... Kind of unfortunate. The Teemo Shroom's slowing my attack speed. Really hurting us. Oh god, the Lulu ult there. Yeah. Not bad, though. Not bad. Could have been a lot worse. But again, he had 0 gold. We're working our way to 9. Ooh, the 3 items here. Okay. So now all of a sudden we have some interesting choices here. And again, we haven't seen any Nunus. So now's the time to probably do a Nunu transition instead of a... instead of going for Nunu 3. It gives us more gold, and now we can put a better 3rd item on our Abomination. So the question here is, clearly it's not Gunblade. Gunblade doesn't really do anything for it. It's Bloodthirster or Hodge. And I think in this case, we're going to go with the Bloodthirster, specifically because the 40% shield that the new Bloodthirster provides is a very powerful shield for the Abomination, and the lifesteal works really well with the Hurricane Bolts. So that puts us in a pretty good situation. We hit level 9, and now we can start rolling down for some powerful champions. We 2-star our Ryze. That's a nice upgrade. We should be considering these Viegos. These Viegos could do some good work for us. Instead, we kind of flounder there for a little bit, so... Chasing Ryze 3, probably not the play here with an Infinity Edge on that champion. Volibear is definitely significantly weakened by these Verdants, by the way, so... Struggling with that. We really need to get to this Kale. This Kale is about to go off. Unfortunately, it has ascended, and you can see, God, when Kale ascends, she hurts. Holy crap, that is a Kale 2, fully ascended. So our goal is to make sure we kill that thing very quickly. Which means our comp needs more damage. So, we're going to have to work on that. So again, now we have some more frontline. At this point, getting a Kale upgrade would be big. Bunch of different ways we can play this from here. But for now, kind of stuck where we are. Really hoping to 2-star some of these legendaries. And again, the next big play is probably take out the 2 Brawler for some bigger legendaries. So, alright, so this is the Heimerdinger player. Has a good Heimerdinger, but not much else to be worried about here. And so the nice thing here is the Heimerdinger is mostly a Morello applier. By the way, don't put Morello on your Heimerdinger. It already does that inherently from the spell. That's another mistake from this person. People are still learning. And bam, here we go. Look at that damage. But unfortunately, we are up against a Kale. Oh, and we managed to live through the power of the Bloodthirster shield. So the Bloodthirster shield combined with the brand damage gave us the edge there. Thankfully, it was only a Kale 1. If that had been a Kale 2, we would have been in trouble. Didn't really hit anything. Kale looks pretty contested. And again, normally we wouldn't go Kale, but the fact that we have the double lockets to stall the front line and the A-bomb means as long as Kale survives, she could be in a really good spot here. So, alright, let's see how it goes here. So like I said, now we're at the end game where typically you expect this comp to fall off, which is why we're really trying to gather the legendaries. They're the sort of closing act for this comp. So it's A-bomb into legendaries. Unfortunately, this guy's Teemo is really strong. Heimerdinger not as much, but that Teemo, look at that damage. Oof, it hurts. It hurts so bad. And again, we kind of get caught going the wrong way here. Those Teemo Shrooms really slowing us down. Yeah, losing 50% of your attack speed on your A-bomb here. Really unfortunate. Tries his best. Not quite enough. So, alright, what can we get here? There is a Spellweaver, so we could get 2 Spellweaver for our brand, which has been a good chunk of our damage. There's also the Thieves Gloves, which is a 5-cost Thieves Gloves. Looks like we're going to go with that. The problem with the Spellweaver is who else do you put it on? The only answer is really Kindred here, so kind of agree with that decision to not take the Spellweaver. Alright, so we're selling the Brawlers, putting in the Kayle, putting in a second Volibear. It's a bold play. So now Ivern is the new centerpiece. And Kayle gets the Thieves' Gloves. Hey, Kayle 2, finally. And Kindred 2. Hey, that's a nice hit. Alright, so now we've got some late game legendary power. All we really need is the Volibear 2 at this point. We've got 2 Mystic. So now we have either the Kayle carry that can get us going, which, by the way, really good tank items on this roll here. And if the Kayle items aren't enough, then we have the Abomination to do a ton of work here. And you can kind of see we're up against the same matchup here. It's kind of clone army against clone army here. But unfortunately, it's just too much. With his has items, mine doesn't. And we lose, because GA on Kayle. GA on Kayle is definitely probably best in slot. Keep her alive once, res back up, and then pop off. So now that we see that Kayle is a problem, we start considering the Viego. But I get tempted by the 3-star Ryze here. I think the 3-star Ryze here was a grief. It was me getting greedy, trying to get a 3-star Ryze. Viego would have been a much safer acquisition. 2-star Viego steals some of their powerful backlaners. But sometimes Riot Mort doesn't know what he's doing, so. Alright, let's see what we get here. So this is the Karma Heimerdinger. Very scary comp. But you can see he's kind of falling off as well. As long as we can keep Kayle alive, this should be a win. And here comes... Oh, I don't think she's going to stay alive, though. Nope. There's the Ascension. Barely lives. Keeps herself invulnerable. And there you go. Plus, wow, that backline damage on the Abomination was quite good. So, alright, we're down to 3. One of them win streaking, though, so this is going to be tough. Frozen Heart, a pretty good pickup here. If we can get the Volibear into the backline with that Frozen Heart, that'll be quite nice. This is me checking out what a 3-star Ryze can do. The answer is okay stuff, but not without items. Boom. Someone was asking me before the set came out if there was a champion to say boom with. For me, it's Volibear. When Volibear jumps up and slams to the ground, that's the boom moment. Kayle 3, Keck W. 7 Ryze. Consider Heimerdinger for a second. Then decide, nope, Viego's probably the better choice. Nope. Again, I think the play here was Viego instead of the second Ryze up front. The second Ryze up front here, to me, feels like a bit of a grief. But, you know, you do what you can in the moment. So this is that scary Teemo that we've been struggling with. Now, the nice thing here, though, is we did get this Hodge on Kayle's Thieves' Gloves roll. And as long as it rolled healing, that'll keep her alive. And in fact, it did. So really good Thieves' Gloves roll here. Combined with the Kindred 2... And Kayle should ascend, and oh, that ascended Kayle always is just so powerful. Ascended Kayle is not to be messed with. Alright, so we get our Volibear. We get our Ryze. We have 8 Ryzes here. All we need is Ryze 3. But it is 7-2, which means it's either this fight or one more after it. And our opponent is the Teemo, so we gotta beat the Teemo player. Again. Our Kayle items are okay. The QS isn't bad here. But without the healing, it'll probably die to the Teemo Shrooms. Now, if I was smart, I would have moved Brand away so that we wouldn't get targeted as much by the Teemo. I also probably should have put Volibear... I did put Volibear on the other side. Let's see how it goes. So yeah, Kayle unfortunately getting hit a bit here, taking a lot of damage. Another hit from Kayle. Kayle's dead, so we don't have Kayle here. But we do have the A-bomb, and he's in the back line. Can the A-bomb pump out the damage? And the answer is yes. Look at that damage from that A-bomb. Again, with the Hurricane. And even here, the Hurricane is going to be why we're able to kill that. And it's going to be close, but... Ooh, that Garen ult. Thankfully, it's enough. That A-bomb damage, almost 10,000, and we take it. GG. Alright, so that's A-bomb. Give it a try. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.